All right. This was what's going on. Okay. No, you're not. Some time. Others may jump in. Yeah. So, well, this is well. Thank you for joining me for the ganjaactors.com Cannabis Conference and Expo. This session, technology, AI, blockchain, and the ganja economy. We all know that. Well, cannabis is it's been around for forever, effectively, and it's now becoming somewhat mainstream, which is also kind of, I guess, it's now merging it's now merging with technology, a space that you are in. And sorry, let me introduce Otha Smith. You are the what please why don't you introduce yourself? Tetragram, and you can tell us what you're all about in the technology and cannabis space.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for having me. Otha Smith here. I am the CEO and founder of Tetragram. And so Tetragram is a mobile app that we designed specifically for cannabis and CBD consumers, really giving them the ability to take control of their self journey with cannabis by giving them the option to document the products that they use, all the way down to the terpenes and cannabinoids associated, and then where they made that purchase, how they consume that product, which is very important. And then also they can associate that product with a particular medical condition. And then after they've done so, they can rate that product's effectiveness in treating that medical condition in order to help draw conclusions over time on the effectiveness of the various products that they experiment with. So we developed this technology because, there's just so many products to choose from in a dispensary. And given that cannabis is federally illegal, there's very little guidance for consumers to rely upon. So they really are trying a lot of these products blindly, hoping that it might achieve the results they're looking for. But the only way to really keep track of that and draw those conclusions effectively is by documenting your use. And so with Tetragram, we provide people with the ability to do just that.
All right. So your target market is really like the medicinal audience, I guess, market.
Yeah, I mean, I always go as far as to say that, whether you're consider yourself medical or adult use, especially if you consider yourself adult use, you're still a patient at the end of the day.
Well, that's what I was going to get to that as well. So I mean, how have people responded? Because that's sounds like it's requires a level of active involvement in your cannabis consumption and documenting and tracking and so on. I mean, how are people responding to something like that? I mean, is that responding well? How is that?
Yeah, the response has been incredible. So, we launched Tetragram on July 10th of 2020 with zero marketing assistance. So you really put all of our eggs into this development of the application. And to date, it's now being promoted in more than 100 dispensaries throughout the country.
Okay.
We're trending anywhere between 20 on the low end to 35 to 40 downloads a day. So
Right.
the reception has been very well.
All right, excellent. And so how, I mean, so but you're working directly with the dispensaries, and that's getting the app into the hands of people. How does one use the app? I mean, again, because this is cannabis and technology, and you're merging the two. You even got the terpenes in there. Are the consumers aware of the terpenes, that's a factor in? Are they now learning it? Are you helping them in that journey? Is that, how does that work?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that's it's refreshing but also a little frustrating because in the so Tetragram is available in the US only at this point. And so what happens is there's various states that have medical or adult use programs. I think we're up to 36 states now. But all these states have different requirements when it comes to the terpenes associated with the product. And so for some for some consumers that live in states where they have that mandated so that all the terps and cannabinoids are listed on the product, people are actively entering in that information, but it's just a mixed bag depending upon what states you live in. But through education, we are starting to see that people are paying a lot more attention to the terpenes and cannabinoids and a lot less attention to just the THC content because THC is always going to provide you with that euphoria feeling, but that's not really what you're chasing. You really want to chase the medicinal value of those terps and cannabinoids.
And all right, so are you finding, so when you are getting responses from people, and I mean, do you have any involvement once the app goes into somebody's hand? Can you document that data and then track that back and then hand that, like, say, to the dispensary so they know what better to sell? Maybe is that
Yeah, so the platform is HIPAA compliant, so we don't ask for a user's first or last name. And
okay?
so
Right.
all the data that we collect on the back end is strictly just the aggregate data related to what products are being used, how they're being rated for treating X, Y, and Z condition. And so, Tetragram is a platform that not only helps the consumer understand which products are going to be most effective, and more so than that, which consumption method, but it also helps the industry as a whole, because with the data that we collect on the back end, that's very valuable data to the dispensaries and to the industry as a whole, because as a dispensary bud tender, as they call it, I can have that information in order to be more confident in making product recommendations. If I look at it from a medical perspective, they will utilize our data in order to have a better understanding of all these various products that are on the market,
Right.
and know which ones that they can, to a degree, recommend to their patient.
Okay.
And then they invoke the cultivator, right? So, like, there's a lot of cultivators in the country, a lot of packaged manufactured goods. And, one of the things that's hard for these manufacturers or cultivators is to gather consumer feedback on their products so that they can make tweaks if necessary. And so again, with this data, we really look at it as a way to empower the industry to be more intelligent about cannabis.
Well, that's. I'm glad that you brought up data. That's the topic for tomorrow. But well, you touched on how you can use data, but how is data applied in the cannabis space? How does that now become that cannabis plant, illegal? Now we're talking about data. How does what's the data that one collects? Well, you just mentioned some of it, but how did that come together now?
So I mean, the data that we collect is, so we're just able to associate it. So if, like, we take a product, we are able to associate what terpenes and cannabinoids are with it, how did they consume that product, and then how they rated the effectiveness of that product. So if that's what you're asking, that's how we're able to view that data on the
Data,
back
right?
end, to get a more concise understanding of how people are rating these products and how they're using them.
And that's going to take a little bit of time though as well. I'm sure it's not. I said you launched in April 2021, 2020.
So we
No,
launched in
we're
July.
2021, right? 20, right. So like pretty much last year. So I mean, you've obviously been collecting this data. Have you been able to say identify, okay, well, there's this strain, there's this high THC that because it's high THC, people have been gravitating towards it, but it's quite ineffective. I mean, have you been able to gather that kind of information yet and pass it on to your dispensaries and the farmers and so on?
Oh, absolutely. So, we are gathering a ton of data. I mean, I think we're well over probably 10,000 log sessions in Tetragram, and so that's a lot of comprehensive data that we can sift through. One of the recent reports that we did was on anxiety, and so with that information, we were able to see that anxiety was the number one symptom that people were using cannabis for,
Right.
and then we were able to view what products people were utilizing for anxiety and the terps and cannabinoids associated, and then how they rated that product. So it's really fascinating data that we're starting to pull out the back end.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So what are you seeing as far as consumption methods? It's dry flower, oils, tinctures, vapes. What are you seeing in terms of that?
So for that anxiety report, we saw that inhalation was the number one consumption method. And then to our surprise, when we looked at what device was used for inhalation, bongs actually ranked number one, which was
Yeah, right on.
surprising. I would have thought vaping or something like that would have been number one.
Right, right on.
But bongs was the number one device used. And then when we looked at what form the product came in, flower was predominant, definitely the leaderboard there.
All right, right on. That's well that seems to remain to be the case. I think a lot of people thought the oils were going to take it over, but then I guess they're also quite expensive. That probably puts that at a price point for a lot of people. So tell me, what made you decide to get into this space, infusing into cannabis?
Just my own journey. After being involved in a car accident and getting out of that accident luckily with my life, I was prescribed a number of opioids like most.
Right.
And that's when I knew, pills weren't something I wanted to use for the rest of my life. And I've always been a fan of cannabis. So when I got my card, I'll never forget when I entered a dispensary for the first time, and I was just blown away by all these options.
Right.
And like everyone else, I was overwhelmed and didn't know where to start. And so the one thing that was constant was everyone told me, you got to keep a journal, you got to keep a journal. So I just
Right.
took it a step further.
All right, right on. That's what that's let me touch on that part of your personal journey as well. When you getting yourself off the opioids and getting into taking cannabis more seriously, did you find that it was difficult to find a cultivar or a product that worked effectively? Was that a part of it, or did you? I mean, was it quickly right off the bat? Did you find the right thing? How did that go?
No, it definitely took a lot of time. I mean, I can honestly say someone that's been in the industry for 5 years, it took me 2 years before I was able to find a product that worked best for me, right? And so imagine someone who is, new to
Right.
cannabis or just like me, who's seasoned. It does take time and it's an expensive process because cannabis
Right.
isn't cheap at the end of
I
the day.
got you. I got you. Right on. And what about the bud tenders? Are they been helpful in this journey? I mean, I guess you work with them as well, do you? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some bud tenders are better than others, more knowledgeable than others. But they definitely helped a little bit. But at the end of the day, no one can tell you what cannabis is going to work best for you because cannabis affects everyone differently. So again, just documenting my use and then going through that trial and error is what really was beneficial to me.
Right on, right on. And so Tetragram, you say you're in the US now only. I'm assuming Canada will probably be your next market. That's the easiest one.
Yeah.
What about, what about Jamaica? I mean, is it the regulations that's kind of limiting your reach? What's preventing you from just going global?
So right now, I mean, our first version of Tetragram, believe it or not, is actually an MVP. So we didn't. I mean,
Oh,
we of course hoped for the best that it would really take off, but we didn't expect it to take off as well as it has. So
right.
we're
So,
extremely blessed about that.
Brandon,
And
just a second for it, just for anyone who's listening. MVP in this sense, not most valuable player, it's most viable product or minimum viable product. Just to clarify that. Sorry, he's
yeah,
gone. Yeah.
100%. And so right now we're working on version 2, which will be so much more robust and offer more features and so forth. And that's when we'll actually take the app global.
Right on. And do you get feedback? Because if you don't take people's personal information, do you get feedback from your customers, from the users of the app?
Yeah, I mean, people always give feedback through the App Store or the Google Play Store, and
Okay,
then we
right on.
do have on our website, people can always submit their information as well, so that they can provide any feedback that they like. Because one of the things that we pride ourselves on is that I'm a patient, my two business partners are patients, so we really built Tetragram, for patients
To
by
serve, right?
patients.
Right
Exactly.
on.
So yeah, we always welcome that feedback because we just want to build the best platform that is going to be the most beneficial to people.
Right on. And so it's an app. So it's mainly mobile oriented. You said you had a website, but that's not really functional as the app. The app is really what you want people to download it, use it. It's on your phone type of or mobile. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, we're toying around with the idea of having a web version, but at this point in time, we're just solely focused on the web mobile version.
On the mobile version. All right. You see, well, that's even that could be an issue because a lot of people don't really have that level of mobile phone in
Yeah.
parts of Jamaica. You know what I mean? So you could take a little time, not too long though. Give it another year or so. But I think Jamaica's going to be ready for you guys very, very soon, man.
Oh,
Um,
100%. That's like my second home, so I can't wait to bring it there.
I mean, you're more than welcome. I assure you. I assure you. I mean, well, let's talk about more about tech and cannabis. What other things do you see happening in the tech and cannabis space that's piqued your interest?
There's a lot of things. AI technology is something that is coming in, which we thought about that as well. As from our perspective, we just have to be careful with how we roll out that AI because we don't want to make product recommendations, and then next thing you know, someone leads to a bad experience. So
I was gonna ask about that. I mean, because AI it's artificial intelligence, yes, but it's learning from. It could learn mistakes from people as well. You know what I mean? So that's pretty problematic. I don't know.
yeah, so but AI has an interesting play. A lot of tech automation when it comes to just growing facilities and stuff like that as well, which is really cool. And then I'm happy to see like the renewable energy side of technology that's really starting to grow as well in the industry because, a cannabis cultivation facility is probably the most inefficient energy
Absolutely.
uh, entity around. And so, with the application of solar, I think that could be a great win for the industry to get a lot more sustainable.
Right. Okay. Right on. All right, great. Anything else you'd like to throw in there? I was hoping to have a whole. Anyways, it's all good. It's a good conversation nonetheless. Yeah. Anything that you like, you say you like to see developing. We talked about the AI development. What about um, I don't know what. Well, I do know about the AI use in growth and so on and so forth. But yeah, is anything that you'd like to see, something that might not be there yet, but you as a tech minded person, you're like, well, we should be thinking about this.
Uh, I don't know. There's a couple things that I do want to see, but I really can't speak on them at this point because the technologies that we're going to be incorporating.
Like Tom says, like, well, we're doing it, so I got you.
Yeah, exactly. So, stealth is wealth, right? And so some of these things I just want to keep a little close to the chest, but there's some great things that are going to be developing, not only with me, but also with some of the people that I'm working with. They're just going to really make the tech side of this industry really blossom.
That's it's interesting, and obviously I think it's because there's some younger people are coming into the space. I mean, oof, wow, do you think that's what it's taken? Is the younger people coming? Because I don't think these older heads. I mean, how do you think that's actually the older people who are into cannabis, or not even cannabis people, but are trying to push their products on people? How do you and that couple together? I don't know. I've lost my question there. No, I'm just trying to think of the development. Like who should be developing the tech? Because is it the larger entities? Is it the young people? Is it the users? And I think that's where tech is interesting in cannabis. Is that as you, like yourself, you saw this need as a user, as you're like as a patient. So you decided, let me adopt this, let me implement this.
Yeah, I just think, overall, I mean, the industry just needs more diversity because, when you have diversity in the industry, regardless of which age group you're in, I think there's more diversity is what leads to innovation, right? When everyone comes from a similar background or looks the same,
Right.
creativity tends to get lost. And so, you really need to bring people from different walks of life, people who have, different experiences that can really shed light on other ways that we can do things, not only more efficiently, but just more creatively.
Right. And how have you been accepted in the space as a Black man?
It's been tough. One of the things that's been, always working throughout my benefit is just that, I strengthen myself with people who look like me because there's so few of us. And so, power in numbers, I think 90% of the cannabis industry is filled by white men. And
Right.
so that definitely needs to change given the fact that, it's people who look like me who have been, marginalized and been destroyed by the war on drugs, which was positioned directly at people of
Of
color.
color, absolutely.
So it has been tough when it comes to like raising capital, sometimes just be
Right.
taken seriously to be giving them a chance to have a meeting.
Right.
But we just continue to push on, and I utilize my network to help me get into certain, meetings that I probably wouldn't have been able to get into myself. And so when you have people that vouch for you, that
Right.
really helps move the needle as well.
Right on, right on. And well, I will ask this question as well. I did ask this of the first session. This came up. With the as well, there's all the, oh gosh, what's this, social equity, talking social equity, that this Black and brown industry should be much more involvement in the industry. How do you see that happening, and how do you see it happening in the sense that yes, of course there's a great initiative to expunge people's convictions and so on and so forth. But what about but to help them get into the industry, but of course they need funds. But what about those who are never convicted and actually have good, like, black market businesses? How do we get them into the industry?
I think it just takes as education again and showing them that there is a way. I feel like a lot of people, I have friends of mine who are in the black market, and I'm talking to them all the time about telling them that they really need to get into the legal side of
Right,
things. But
right,
a lot of them feel like they don't know how.
right,
And it's tough, if you don't have the resources or just like, basic business knowledge from a legal perspective, it can be intimidating to try to make that crossover. But I
okay,
think the continued education and community groups,
right,
a lot of nonprofit organizations are sprouting up that are exclusively focused on helping young black and brown women get into the industry by
especially
providing them with
women.
the
Yes, I've
tools
seen
they
that.
need. So yeah, I think we're headed in the right direction, but there definitely needs to be, more gas thrown on the fire to help out this initiative of diversity in the industry.
And we need to bring more people in, and I think it needs to be much more abrasive. Um, All right, right. And I'm not, I'm not going to take up much more of your time. You did say that you were busy. Like this has been happening to everyone's. It's summer. People are there's the graduations, there's vacations, there's everything is going on, and everyone's at home, so nobody has a secretary. So nobody can keep themselves together. It's the best. Anyways, yeah. So thanks a lot, man. I'll be in touch. Well, all this stuff is going to be packaged again for our video studio, the Ganja project. I'm glad that we got a one-on-ones because this is I've got one video of you, so that's good. So that's all going to be it. This is now your own exclusive segment, man. That's great.
Right. Well, I
So
appreciate
that'll
it.
right.
I'll take all the attention I can get, right? So I appreciate your time today, and let's continue to push forward in this industry.
We shall, but you have a good one. Get back to it. You got to do, man. One love. Thank you.
You too.
All right, bless. Okay. Oops. Okay. Attendees, the one. Thank you. Oh, Matthew, what's up? What's up, Matthew? You want to come in the room? Yeah, Latanya, thanks. I just needed to make sure that this link was working because this is the first one that people didn't even contact me to tell me anything. It's weird. You can on the camera. You can. Yeah. So yeah, well, why don't you come in as well? Oh, you're ready. Yeah, what's up, Matthew?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. It's strangely enough, it's going relatively smoothly. Technically, much better than many of the other ones, except for the fact they're doing some work outside and they went and turned the Wi-Fi box and it just started screwing everything up. But I caught it quick, So
yeah, they're doing construction in my building too, man.
What's that?
They're doing construction in my building too. I live like in this loft building that they're trying to convert now and make it all fancy and nice for.
Oh, right on. Okay. Oh, right on. Yeah.
So they're like going through and ripping out apartments and all that shit.
Right. Yeah. There's always people are at home, and there's always something. When I'm in the grill, it's either roosters or the motorbikes and everything. It's like, oh my God, I can't do it.
Yeah, brother. I gotta grab this call.
Yeah, man. I'll see you, man. I just wanted to be.
Man. Yeah, yo, shoot me a number so we can find you on WhatsApp.
Yeah, man. I'll send you the email. Yeah, man. No problem.
Yeah.
Or shoot me on the email, but I will do. Yeah, man, for sure. All right. One love. All right. That's it, Latanya. Thank you. Bye bye. I gotta get into town.